Holy Spirit, amen. Father, you created us. You care for us. You care for the work that this council is about. Father, as we enter this season of hope, the time of the Christ coming to the world, I pray that every grace that this council needs will be given to them, helping them to serve us, and to every citizen. Lord, it is as easy for you to bless 1,000, 10,000 as to bless one. We count on your blessing, Lord. Thank you. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Good evening and welcome to the Monday, December 7th, 2015 Washougal City Council meeting. Rose, could you call the roll, please? Oh, we probably should. Sorry about that. If you would, please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now, Rose.
Councilmember Freeman.
Here.
Councilmember Shoemaker.
Here.
Councilmember McDaniel.
Here.
Councilmember Lindsay.
Here.
Councilmember Greenlee.
Here.
Councilmember Wagner.
Here.
For the record, Councilmember Boger. And Student Representative Bischoff.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, I ask unanimous consent that Councilmember Boger be excused.
Hearing no objections, so ordered. Are there any amendments to the agenda this evening? Okay, hearing none, we're at the first opportunity in the agenda for any members of the public that would like to address council. And hearing none there, seeing none, we're going to move into the consent agenda. Council, this evening, your consent agenda has 9 items on it. Your council minutes of November 9, 2015. Your workshop minutes of November 16, 2015. Your council minutes of November 16, 2015. Your accounts payable checks totaling $1,009,172.02. Your payroll checks totaling $537,841.02. Agenda Bill 74-15, an authorization for the mayor to sign the Leeward Subdivision Phase 2 final plat. Agenda Bill 75-15, an authorization for the mayor to sign a professional services agreement with the West Columbia Gorge Humane Society. Agenda Bill 76-15, an authorization for the mayor to sign a professional services agreement with Renee Carroll for tourism promotion. And Agenda Bill 77-15, an authorization for the mayor to sign a professional services agreement with the ETC Institute for Community Survey.
Mr. Mayor, is it too late to ask that one of these items be pulled for discussion?
Not at all.
Want to get in just ahead of you there, Paul.
Which item would you like, Dave?
I'd like to pull item India, Agenda Bill 7715.
Okay. So noted.
Mr. Mayor, I ask unanimous consent that we approve the consent agenda items A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H, and that I be removed to new business for further consideration.
Hearing no objections, so ordered. Going to Agenda Bill 77-15, an authorization for the mayor to sign a professional services agreement with the ETC Institute for Community Survey. David.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Before you is request to authorize the mayor to sign the professional services agreement. As we discussed at workshop this evening, this is for the 2016 community survey, follows on to the 2014 community survey that we did. You approved this project in the 2016 budget, and by entering into this agreement now, we're ready and set to start right away in January, so we can get results back by the middle of next year. So the recommended action is to authorize the mayor to sign the professional services agreement.
Council.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we authorize the mayor to sign the professional service agreement with ETC Institute for Community Survey.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to sign the professional services agreement between ETC Institute and the city. Council discussion. David?
Can you remind me what the cost of that survey is?
This agreement is for $14,885.
Okay. And therein lies one of my two objections. One is the cost, and the other is that I think that we have other sources of information which will inform us about the issues we need to be informed about. I realize that my colleagues will probably differ with me on this, but those are my objections. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You bet. Other council discussion? Joyce?
It's been my impression that by having a survey every 2 years, we have a benchmark and we can follow up, on the progress that we're making towards this and also being able to identify new issues that the city needs to address.
Any other council comments, questions? Okay, I've got a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to sign the professional services agreement between the ETC Institute and the city of Washougal. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No?
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to our new business items, Agenda Bill 78-15, an emergency utility assistance request. David, you handling that one?
I am, thank you, Mayor. Council, before you is request for authorization of the transfer of funds from the Utility Assistance Program to customer utility accounts as approved by your Finance Committee. This time it's $750. As you know, these requests come in according to program guidelines, and they're fully vetted by your Finance Committee, and they forward this recommendation to you. So the the recommended action is to authorize the transfer of funds from the Utility Assistance Program Fund to the customer utility account as approved by the Finance Committee.
Council?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we authorize the transfer of funds from the Utility Assistance Program Fund to the customer's utility accounts as approved by the Finance Committee.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second to authorize the transfer of funds from the Utility Assistance Program Fund to the customer utility account as approved by the Finance Committee. Council discussion.
I'd just like to ask a question. This is obviously for more than one person, but how many people is that for?
You know, I was looking, I don't know how many this is for. I don't know if any of the Finance Committee members remember. 3. So they all each asked for the maximum, and so it's 3. Thank you, Councilor.
Any other council comments? Okay, I've got a motion and a second to authorize transfer of funds from the Utility Assistance Program Fund to the customer's utility account as approved by the Finance Committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No?
Motion carries. Thank you. And that brings us to the Appointment Committee report and appointments for 2016. Paul and Joyce and I had a chance to meet last week and go over a number of requests. This is probably the most that we actually had input from council members, which was wonderful, and filled in most everything in here. We made a couple of modifications here and there. We still do have two positions that are open that we did not put anybody in for. One is the annual Mosquito Control Board member, which is open to the public as well, unless a member of the council would like to jump up and grab that one. And the other one is the liaison to the cemetery board. And we were a little hesitant to try and suggest somebody for that one, given the timing for the meetings and not knowing what folks' individual schedules may allow for or not allow for. So, Joyce, Paul, anything that you'd like to add to that?
Just I wanted to say, Mosquito Control Board is something that when you first hear about it, you kind of laugh. But it's actually a pretty interesting group of people. You have representatives from each of the 3 county commission districts. I don't know what the county council will do later, and a couple from Vancouver, and then one from each of the cities, including Yakult and Ridgefield, Battleground, Camas, Washougal. The annual budget is about $400,000, and what the Mosquito Control Board is concerned with is controlling disease vector mosquitoes, principally West Nile disease. We do a very good job of that in Clark County. It's been a long time since we've had a West Nile case here in Clark County that wasn't somebody who came from outside. It's interesting because you get to work with all of the other cities and meet people around the county. And the other thing that's really very nice about it is I have never heard any kind of partisanship at all. Only thing that anyone is ever interested in is how are we going to do a better job, effectively, an effective job for less money and less risk to the people of Clark County. It meets 5 times a year. Actually, I guess it's 4. And the meetings are usually about an hour and a half. And they're start at 7 o'clock, and it's over at the Mosquito Control Shop, which is on Andreessen Avenue, off of Andreessen, just north of where Padden Parkway would cross it, but Padden Parkway has changed its name by then. So it's actually kind of a fun job. I've been doing it for 8 years, and it's time for me to move on, especially because it ends up conflicting a little bit with RTC, Regional Transportation Council. So anybody who's interested, I would encourage it. It's kind of fun.
Dan, feel free to chime in on any of this as well. You're in the mix in a whole bunch of areas, so. Are there, so let's take these one at a time. Are there any members that may be interested in the Mosquito Control Board position? Okay, we'll see if we can't find somebody from the general public from the city of Washougal to possibly take that one. Dave?
I don't see JPAC on here.
Yeah.
It's on the back.
Well, looky there.
Cemetery Board Liaison. Currently meeting second Wednesdays at 8 o'clock in the morning. Anybody that would just be, I won't say it, I won't do it. Cemetery Board.
Yeah. Well, I've been on the cemetery board for 6 years, and I thought that maybe someone else would like to share that.
It's a dead issue.
It's a deadly issue.
Just didn't know if somebody
It's a
might be
very
dying to sit on that board.
It's a very nice group of people that participate, and I just feel like I'm taking on other responsibilities now.
Dan, any? Okay. So we will work on that one, Sands. If, in case we don't have anybody that jumps up that later really decides and thinks about it a little bit more and wants to be in there, I'll make sure that we get a good report on a monthly basis or every other month from staff in regards to what happens at those meetings so that you've got some information. Okay, so with those two kind of sort of dispensed with or at least discussed, are there any requests, any changes, any discussion on the rest of the appointments as recommended?
I have a question.
Fire away.
Okay. Have we ever considered combining the parks and the cemetery board?
That's an excellent question. I don't know. Not that I've ever heard.
Well, I know that, the staff that works in the cemetery come from the parks department, so
It's a logical step, really,
it is.
yes. And they're both, Suzanne Grover is the
Right.
staff person to both of those, so.
Now here, so is your question in regards to who the liaison is or actually combining the meetings? Because I think they're both statutorily different
Oh, do they-
committees,
they have
boards.
Different boards?
Well, I don't know if they're
Cemetery
both in statute, but they're definitely both in our code. I'd have to,
But that doesn't mean that they couldn't potentially meet one right behind the other
right.
and go from one right into the other to where you've got an hour-long meeting, 30 minutes of each one of them. But
I was just curious.
Well, I was on both for a while, and I wondered about the time difference. I think it's a logical,
Logical,
it's a
yeah.
logical combination.
Yep.
it's a good question for Michelle, since she's kind of penciled in there as the Parks Board.
Yeah, it's just that 8 AM, I don't mind being on the cemetery board, I just wouldn't be able to do that 8 AM one. If it came after the Parks Board on Wednesday, that would be a lot easier to make, yeah.
Rose, do you remember any discussion at staff level why they went to the Wednesday mornings, or was that from the committee, the board members themselves?
I believe that was the committee members. Some of them have to go to work, so they wanted to do it early before they went to work. But, you know, committees changed over the years, so maybe they could take that forward.
Okay. So we'll also take that one back and see if, we'll throw the suggestion to the staff and let them go into that with the individual boards, see what we come back with. Any other suggestions, any other requests, any other requested changes?
Question.
Yes.
On the back where it shows David Scott as the alternate for Quita,
Mm-hmm.
what does the CA in front of his name mean?
City Administrator.
Of course.
You thought it meant
I get it.
California.
I thought he was from California.
Mike,
And that one,
California.
just so council's aware, I believe, and I probably should have had somebody double check this, David, in the bylaws, I believe I'm the member, Brent is the alternate, and sans either one of us not being there, we default to the city administrators and to the port executive for that third body if needed, correct?
I was present
so.
at the creation of the bylaws, and that is exactly my memory.
Okay. So that's why you see a staff member in there as one of the alternates. Is there a motion and a second to accept the council appointments as?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we ratify or otherwise accept the recommendations of the Appointments Committee.
Second.
We've got a motion and multiple seconds. Any further council discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No?
Motion carries. Thank you. Now, the one thing that is still on here is your selection for your mayor pro tem for 2016.
I would suggest that we can wait until Dan is sworn in.
Okay?
Be that same night. That way he
Could you
can
repeat
vote.
that?
Paul's just suggesting that we hold off until the January 11th
What
meeting.
you said. I missed what you said.
Selection of the mayor pro tem.
Aha.
I don't think if that's a consensus of the council, I think you're just fine putting it off to the 11th. Okay.
And Brent would like to vote too, I'm sure.
Okay. So for the evening, we'll let that take care of those items. We're now at that second opportunity for anybody in the audience that would like to comment to council. Good evening, Marilyn.
Good evening, council members. It's nice to see Ms. McDaniel with a head of hair. Good. And Mr. Greenlee was I don't know, not everybody has a tie like that. Anyway, I came in late, so I don't know where you are on the what am I trying to say? The animal control place. Have you voted to give it some money, or are we going to have to go and fight for money for the Humane Society?
Well, we have approved the 2016 budget, which has them in there in a couple of different places, and as part of the consent agenda, we approved the professional services agreement with them as an organization, the city, to be able to collect those and provide their services.
And how much might that be?
I believe Jennifer said it was around $20,000 on the general contract for the professional services agreement, and then we had another $5,000 budgeted for the feral cat program. Is that
Right. The program, the PSA with West Columbia is, it's pay as you go. We have to estimate what it will be. It's been running about $1,300 a month, I think is what she said earlier in the workshop, which is less than $20,000 right now, but we've set aside $20,000, and then $5,000 is a separate professional services agreement that, because it's $5,000, doesn't come to the council, but it's understood as part of your budget.
Will that cover enough for the services at Orchard Hills?
Yes, yeah, that's also part of our expenditures.
Good,
that program.
thank you.
If I could, Mr. Mayor. Marilyn, it's the same as last year.
Well, every year, well, Social Security doesn't go up, but everything else seems to. So,
That it does. Any other members of the public that would like to comment to council? Okay. Under Mayor's report, I've got three items for you. Really just thank yous. The lighted Christmas parade and tree lighting that was this last week. Thank you to all of you who took part. Thank you very much to Rose, the rest of the staff, the downtown group, and all the volunteers that helped put that together as well. I know that was an all-day event down there, making sure that everybody was comfortable and everything along the way. So thank you very much for that, and for allowing us to expend a few funds for the families that were there. This last Saturday was the elected officials training, and I know we had a couple of members. Dan was gracious enough to ride up with me to Olympia to attend the training in person, and Michelle was at the training session in Kelso. So thank you for taking 6 hours plus travel out of your time on a weekend to be able to do that. With that, we do have a couple of upcoming social events that you should have all received your emails on. It's looking like Friday, December 18th would be the night of a social that my wife and I would like to host the council at our home. Brooks and Don, we won't be advertising that one as a meeting since it's strictly social in nature, but we'll get some more information on that. It sounds like it's one that's going to drift a little bit in time and maybe be a little bit of a potluck if folks care to be part of that as well, and just a time for some social during the holidays. And then following that, in January on the 6th, we have contacted all three of our legislators, and they are all available to attend another event, which will be noticed as a meeting, I guess a special meeting. That will also be held at my home, only because of the fact that we plan to have a little bit of social time with that as well. So Don and Brooks, you'll both be getting notices of that. It's not really anticipated that members of the public will show up, but if they do, they do. So there you go. Other than that, I have one other special piece of paper here on my desk. And Connie Jo, would you join me down front, please?
You gonna tar and feather me?
Nope.
My last night?
Nope. I would not do such a thing. So just a short 4 years after walking into these chambers, I have a certificate of appreciation presented to Connie Jo Freeman. City of Washougal, on behalf of its citizens, recognizes your 4 years of outstanding service on the City Council, presented by the City of Washougal, December 7th, 2015. Thank you very much. Floor is yours.
I have a chance to address, no, I just want to say thank you. What an amazing 4 years this has been. Challenging at times, frustrating at times, but I think, besides the work that was accomplished while I was here, it's getting to know all of you and call you friends, so thank you.
Thank you. With that, I do want to take just a second. You obviously saw we had a photographer in the room this evening. And for those of you who have not met Brooks Johnson, our new reporter from the Columbian, is in the back of the room. And one of the things, three things about Brooks. One, he's very young, but he has dove right in. And he has chosen as one of the stories he's doing out in Washougal in the first couple of months of being here, doing a little profile on Caleb and his position as a student representative to the council. So that's the reason we've got the photographers here. And I know, Brooks, if you want, I'm sure that there are some council members that might stick around after the meeting to give you a few quotes and that type of stuff as far as your perspective of having a student representative that sits here with us as well. So. When, any idea when you're going to have the story out so that we can all read it with anticipation?
We're thinking Wednesday, so.
Wow. Wow. Awesome. That's all that I've got. Council items. Caleb.
I just heard a lot of good things about the Christmas parade from a lot of the community members, and they're really grateful to have it. And some of them told me they cried, because they're so excited about it. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Michelle?
All right. Yeah, I was beginning to think Caleb was a runway model or something, not a representative or here. Wow. A little nervous.
Brooks just wrote that one down.
Runway model.
I enjoyed the Christmas parade as well. I went there with my daughter. I wish it didn't rain as much. The dancers in the square were really awesome. I just felt bad they were doing their dance in the pouring rain because they were really great. The tree decorating, I just came in on that at the end, so I'm sure Joyce is going to want to talk a lot more about that. But unfortunately, I didn't get to see any of the other trees, just the tree that we all finished up, and it was awesome. It was just a fantastic tree. And I was looking for photos of the other trees online, but I couldn't find anything. So,
They had them all.
are they all online?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll show you where they
All right. The next Parks Board meeting is the 6th of January. This last one we had this past week. They're updating parts of the parks plan, so this would be a good time for the public, I think. Probably you'd agree, Marilyn, to interject some viewpoints or anything they thought they might added since it's being updated right now. And all the Parks Board members are going through it. And let's see, yep, I really enjoyed the elected officials education that I received this Saturday. I didn't get a chance. Nothing like that was going on when I first came in, so I felt a little lost, but I felt that there was some really great briefers and information passed out that'll be able to help me in actually some of the decisions I've been thinking about. So, yeah, it was a great thing. And have a great holiday.
Thank you. Paul?
I loved the parade. It's so much fun to do that. And this year it was especially fun for me because I got to march with the council and then run back to the back and join in with St. Anne's Church, who were in position 19 instead of 4. So I had a good time. I did visit the Festival of the Trees, and it was amazing. There were a lot of trees there and beautifully done. I can't tell you exactly how many, about 30, is that right? 28. And it's always a bit heart-wrenching for me because I have storage boxes, 8 of them, full of Christmas stuff at home, so I can't really get another tree that's full of ornaments. I just don't. If they had undecorated trees, I might bid on them.
They do.
They didn't.
Well, they may have been gone, but.
So that's it. Festival of Trees was fun also. There's a Unite, the Washougal Community Coalition will have its monthly meeting Thursday, the 17th of December at 4:30 over in the Social Services Building on the second floor. I will attend the RTC meeting the first Tuesday of the month, January 5th. There's a legislative outlook breakfast that, if anyone's interested in, that is, I had that in front of me and now I can't find it. It's this Friday. Rose will have details if you're interested. And then there's also the economic forecast breakfast coming up in January, both of which I highly recommend. The economic forecast breakfast is the 21st of January. That's it.
Thank you. Joyce?
Well, the Festival of Trees was incredible, and the city staff were marvelous. The donations that came in, it was a Star Wars tree, so the donations that came in from various members of the staff and the city's contribution, it was gorgeous. I haven't heard how much it finally went for, but when I was there in the morning, it was at $150, so I don't know what beyond that it did. I think our schools are to be, well, the Lions Club does it. The Washougal Lions Club put that on, then the money goes to the schools. It's really lovely, so that was great. And the parade was marvelous, so it was great. I'm going up to Bellingham and make fruitcakes this week. You either love them or you hate them, but yeah, that's what I'm going to do this week, is make fruitcakes.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Yep, I was also involved in the Festival of Trees, decorating a tree for the Washougal Schools Foundation, and it was wonderful.
It was a gorgeous tree.
Thank you very much, our dream tree. But I think that is probably one of the best community events that we've had, and that was started by Ivan Gehring of Papa's Ice Cream Shop. It is no longer an ice cream shop, but they keep his memory, the memory of him doing that, alive every year, and I just think it's wonderful. It's his idea. So also there's Be a Santa to a Senior Tree at the Chamber of Commerce. These are gifts, and it's a program that's put on by Home Instead, gifts for our senior citizens in nursing homes. Thank you, Dawn, for putting the article in the paper about where those trees are located. There's one here in Washougal as well at the Edward Jones branch where I work, and there are a few tags left on it, but these are gifts for seniors who often get forgotten this time of the year, so it's just kind of a nice little different thing to do. You know, people collect toys for Santa's Posse and a lot of other things for children, but there's also our seniors who are vulnerable and in nursing homes, and they appreciate very simple things. So usually it's a pair of socks or some slippers or a lotion gift set or something like that. So please do give to that charity if you can.
Where is that tree?
There's a tree at the Chamber of Commerce, the Camas Washougal Chamber of Commerce, and there's also one at Edward Jones where I work on East Street, right across from the bus barn. So,
Okay.
that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. David?
Oh, I've got 4 items here. First of all, just a general comment. I must be going to the wrong meetings because everybody is talking about how wonderful these meetings are. By contrast, Brent and Connie Jo and I went to the JPAC meeting, the Joint Policy Advisory Committee in Camas, where we were advised along the lines that you mentioned, Dave. Our fees for fire service are going to go up, and there are a number of reasons for that. I don't think anybody's really got a good handle on how much they're going to go up yet, but they are headed up, and I know that we're prepared for that. Second thing, Connie Jo is departing. She's been my soulmate here. We've agreed on a lot of issues, we've disagreed on a few, but the discussion arriving at our opinions on each one of them has been valuable to me. I've learned a great deal, and she has shifted my opinion from time to time. Hard to do, my wife will tell you that. And we've got Dan joining us, Dan Coursey. Dan, I welcome you when you get here, and I look forward to working with you. I think, based on our previous work together, I think the council members here will enjoy working with you too. The public safety meeting, there won't be one in December. The next one will be in the new year, 2016, barring any emergencies, which we don't expect and hope to avoid. And the last thing was we pulled off the agenda tonight a development proposal for the downtown area to put, if I remember correctly, 99 housing units down in the downtown area. And I'm a little surprised at that. The 10 years that I've lived in Washougal, there hasn't been any serious effort to develop anything down there beyond what West Hickey has already done. And people have been talking about what we need to do to get the downtown area developed and vibrant and all that sort of thing. We brought in a bunch of businesses from the Portland area, some of which have already failed and left, some of which are succeeding, and I'm grateful for that. But they won't do it without a walk-in crowd, and this development proposal would have put a walk-in crowd within throwing distance of those shops and those businesses. So I'm left with some degree of suspicion when people talk about how much they support developing the downtown area because we had the opportunity and we missed it. And I'm sorry to see that. That's all I've got, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, David. Joe?
It's been kind of a quiet time for me. I have plans for double knee replacements in February. And my knees are failing me, so I'm not doing a lot. Working. And traveled to California over Thanksgiving. That was wonderful. And so I missed the trees, I missed the parade, I missed all the fun, but I'm gonna be like a 25-year-old woman in a couple of months. Look out, Washougal. I don't look forward to it, but I do. You know how it is. It's going to be very difficult recovery, painful. So that's all I have. Thanks again. It's been a great 4 years.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, could I do one more thing?
Mm-hmm.
The Pumpkin Festival, the parade, none of that could have happened without Rose.
Yeah.
And yes, there are a lot of other people involved, but you get to be the face tonight for our thanks to you.
That is most appreciated. It is not often that a number of our city staff that go out of their way over and over get to hear those type of words. So, and it is well deserved. Just a reminder, unless something comes up and we need to call a special meeting between now and January 11th, we have no other meeting scheduled between now and then. So, we'll be into the new year. I think since the first meeting is not until January 11th, we'll probably, I think Rose is going to be in touch with everybody to try and find all of you that are newly elected or re-elected to find a date to do an informal swearing in before the end of the year, just so that we don't have any hiccups along the way and nobody has questions. And then at the January 11th, we'll do a formal one, and I believe Judge Higginson's already committed and and scheduled to be here to handle those swearing-ins as well. So with that, if there is no other business, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
We are adjourned. Thank you all. Happy holidays.
Good, good.